Welcome to the Deep Dive, folks. Mighty glad y'all could join us today. Maybe you're starting your morning with a cup of coffee right here in Overton County, or perhaps winding down. Either way, sometimes those big life questions kind of sneak up on you, don't they? What's the real point? Or why does life feel so upside down sometimes? Well, today we're taking a deep dive into one of those big ones. We're exploring something called absurdism. Now, I know the name sounds maybe a little gloomy, a bit of a gut punch even, but hang with us, because what starts off looking at life's contradictions, well, it actually holds something pretty powerful, liberating even. It's about finding joy and defiance, even when things just don't seem to make a lick of sense. We got our notes and articles here to kind of guide us.
That's right. And absurdism, yeah, it might sound highfalutin, maybe something they talk about over at the university, but really, it gets down to the heart of questions we all ask. The whys and what fors. Doesn't matter if you're working the land out near Rickman or running a shop here in Livingston. We all face these things. And this philosophy, well, it offers a kind of different way to look at those everyday struggles and the triumphs, too. Looking at the universe's silence, not with despair, but with strength.
Okay, so let's unpack this core idea. Absurdism, it comes from a clash, right? A sort of cosmic mismatch, you could say. On one hand, you got us, humans. We're just wired, I reckon, to crave meaning. Always asking, why are we here? What's the big plan? Is there one? We want to find order, make sense of it all.
We build stories.
Exactly. And on the other hand, you got the universe itself.
Huh?
What does it offer back?
Just silence. A big, quiet indifference, like yelling into a canyon and just hearing nothing.
Right, so that tension, that disconnect between us searching and the universe being silent, that's what they call the absurd.
And you really can't talk absurdism without talking about Albert Camus. French-Algerian fellow, philosopher. His book, The Myth of Sisyphus, from way back in 42. That's really the cornerstone. For Camus, see, the absurd wasn't just a mood, like feeling down one day. It was the starting point. The basic condition of being human. He flipped the script. Didn't start with what's the meaning of life. He asked, okay, knowing there might not be some big meaning, is life still worth living? That's the real gut check.
And Camus, he didn't have much patience for what he saw as, well, easy outs, cop-outs, really. And he talked about two main ways folks try to escape this absurd truth.
Right.
One was, just giving up, suicide. He saw that as letting the absurd win.
Yeah, a surrender.
Right. The other one, maybe sneakier, he called philosophical suicide. That's clinging hard to illusions, like rigid beliefs or ideologies that promise all the answers, just to pretend the universe makes sense when maybe it just doesn't inherently.
It's like sweeping dust under the rug, ain't it? You're not really facing the truth, just hiding from it, trying to force meaning where it might not fit.
It's funny how social psychology kind of backs this up.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, this idea of cognitive dissonance. Studies show we humans are just. We're wired to want things to make sense, to be consistent.
Right, we hate contradictions.
Exactly. So when we face something huge, like maybe our life doesn't have some grand cosmic purpose handed down to us, our brains just scramble. We try to fix that uncomfortable feeling.
So we, join groups, chase careers, scroll social media looking for validation.
You got anything to kind of fill that silence, avoid that big question mark? Absurdism says, hold on now, stop running.
Face the silence.
Yeah, because that's where the real work, the real living actually starts.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting and maybe turns things on their head a bit. Camus uses this old Greek myth, Sisyphus.
Sisyphus, I remember that one, pushing the rock. That's the one.
He angered the gods, this king Sisyphus, and his punishment was eternal. Push a giant boulder up a hill.
Only for it to roll right back down again.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Every single time. Then he has to walk back down and start all over. Forever.
Lord have mercy. Sounds kind of familiar, though, don't it? That endless loop.
It does.
Like your 9 to 5 some weeks, or
right.
That pile of laundry that just keeps coming back right here in Overton County. Or maybe just getting up and doing it all again tomorrow. It's life, plain and simple sometimes.
But here's the twist. Here's Camus's genius move. He says Sisyphus isn't tragic. He's not just some poor soul stuck in a pointless job.
He's not. How's that?
No. Camus says Sisyphus is a hero.
A hero? For pushing a rock?
Because he knows. He knows the rock's going to roll back down. He's fully aware of the pointlessness of the task from the god's perspective. And he pushes it anyway. He accepts it. Doesn't curse, doesn't hope for it to stop. He just does it.
Yeah.
And Camus says, famously, one must imagine Sisyphus happy.
Happy. Pushing a rock for eternity.
Not because he loves the rock, but because his freedom, his meaning, it comes from his defiance, from choosing to push, choosing to live right in the face of that absurdity. He finds his joy in the struggle itself.
Okay, okay. I think I'm getting it. And that makes it really different from nihilism, right? Because nihilism just says, nothing matters, so I bother, like giving up.
Exactly. That's the key difference. Nihilism is resignation, despair, maybe. Absurdism. It looks at the same situation, no inherent cosmic meaning, and says, okay, so what? Do it anyway.
Do it because it doesn't matter on some grand scale.
Precisely. It's like like shaking your fist at the void, but with a grin. It's saying, my choices, my actions, they matter to me right now.
Like knowing the corn might get hailed out down in the bottoms, but you plant it anyway. Because that's your choice, your work.
That's a perfect down-home example. That's the spirit of it.
And this ties into some psychology stuff, too, you mentioned.
Yeah, self-determination theory. Basically, it says we humans, we thrive when we feel like we have some control, some autonomy, when we feel like we're acting based on our own choices and values.
So Sisyphus, by choosing to push, even though he's forced to,
Yeah.
he's taking back control.
In a way, yes. He owns his struggle. He finds freedom in that choice. Just like, someone choosing to start a small business here in Livingston, knowing the odds might be tough.
Or tending your garden, pulling weeds, even when you know they'll be back next week.
That's it, exactly. You find your purpose in the doing, in the choosing.
So Camus, he laid out like 3 main ways folks might respond when they face this absurd reality, this cosmic mismatch.
Right. 3 paths you might take in the color of life, you could say.
The first one, he called it the leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like escaping, right? Jumping into systems that promise meaning, could be religion, could be some big ideology, anything that gives you all the answers neatly packaged.
Yeah, it's tempting, like finding a map that promises a shortcut, even if maybe the map ain't quite right. Psychologists talk about terror management theory here, too.
Terror management.
Yeah, the idea that we cling to these big worldviews, these beliefs, partly to shield ourselves from the fear of death, the fear of just being insignificant.
But Camus said, nah, that's ultimately dishonest. Like lying to yourself to feel better.
Okay, the second path is pretty grim. It's despair, which can ultimately lead to suicide.
Just giving up completely. If there's no point, why keep going?
Right. The ultimate surrender. But Camus, he rejected this strongly, not because he thought life had some magic, built-in value necessarily.
But because giving up means letting the absurd win, taking away your own choice.
Exactly. It's refusing to play the game because you can't guarantee a win. And, resilience studies show folks can endure unbelievable hardship if they can just find a little sliver of purpose, even when they make for themselves.
Which brings us to the third path. The one Camus really championed, rebellion.
Ah, yes. The heart of it.
And this ain't about, like, political rebellion, overthrowing the government, or nothing.
No, it's internal. It's profound. It's about deciding to live fully, right in the teeth of the absurd, knowing there's no cosmic script.
So you don't find meaning out there somewhere.
You create it, right here, through your choices, your passions, your actions.
Like enjoying a good meal with family, or writing that song, or painting that picture, helping a neighbor out.
That's precisely it. Doing those things knowing they won't magically fix the universe or answer the ultimate questions, but doing them anyway because they matter to you.
It's Sisyphus smiling, just a little bit as he walks back down that hill to push the rock again, knowing the task, but embracing the moment.
And that rebellion, let me tell you, it ain't easy. It's gritty, takes constant effort, day in, day out.
No finish line, no big reward at the end.
Nope, no cosmic applause. But that's also what makes it so liberating. You're not tied to some external judgment or plan. You get to define your life moment by moment, like deciding what's important for your family, your community, right here.
Okay, folks might be thinking, that's all fine and good, but how does this help me on a Tuesday morning when things are going sideways?
Fair question, but it's actually really practical.
Yeah, how so?
Think about just daily frustrations. Psychology talks about the fundamental attribution error. When someone cuts you off on Spring Street downtown?
Oh yeah, it drives me crazy. You think, what a jerk.
Right. We assume it's their character, but if we do it, we were late or distracted.
Gotcha. So absurdism helps how?
It lets you kind of step back. In the grand scheme, that driver, their actions don't mean anything cosmic either. They're just another Sisyphus pushing their own boulder, maybe having a rough day.
So maybe cut them some slack. Laugh it off.
Maybe. Or just don't let it ruin your day. Realize it's just part of the absurdity of it all. Helps you let go of that little stuff.
And what about the bigger stuff? Like the pressure to, keep up? The rat race.
Oh, absolutely. Society screams at us, doesn't it? Need the big house, the fancy truck, the perfect posts online to prove you matter.
Yeah, gotta look successful.
Absurdism just quietly says, hold on, none of that actually changes the universe's silence. So if those things don't bring inherent meaning...
Why not focus on what actually brings you joy? Or what feels like your own act of defiance against the meaningless grind?
Exactly. Paint that picture, learn that guitar lick, volunteer down at the community center, binge watch that silly show you like. Do it because it's yours. Because you choose it, not because it's important by somebody else's measure.
There's kind of dark humor to it too, isn't there?
Oh, definitely.
Like when your Wi-Fi cuts out way out in Monterey right before something important.
Yeah.
Or you spill coffee down your front right before church.
That's the absurd winking at you. Life just throws curveballs because it can. There's no grand reason most times.
And laughing at it. It kind of takes its power away, makes you feel less like a victim.
Precisely. You're in on the joke. You get to chuckle along with the universe's randomness.
So even though it starts kind of grim sounding, absurdism isn't depressing.
Not at all, in the end. It's empowering. Mighty empowering, actually.
How so?
Because it says you don't need some outside authority, no god, no guru, no viral influencer telling you how to live or what your life should mean. You decide.
You take the reins back.
You do. And facing that uncertainty head on, building your own meaning, that builds real strength, real authenticity. Like our nurses work in double shifts, or our local artists creating something beautiful even when nobody's buying. That's resilience. That's absurdism in action, right here in Overton.
And I reckon this whole idea feels more relevant now, here in 2025, than maybe ever before.
I think you're right. Why do you say that?
Well, we're just bombarded, ain't we?
Well,
Constant noise, AI going to change everything, influencers telling us how to be happy, endless arguments online.
It's information overload, and meaning overload almost. Everyone's selling an answer.
Exactly. It's easy to get lost chasing the next big thing, the right way to live. Absurdism just cuts right through all that static.
Like a sharp knife through butter.
Yeah. It says, hey now, slow down. Stop looking for the answer out there. There isn't just one.
Live anyway. Live fully. Make your answer.
And that feels like a good way to fight burnout too, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. That feeling of learned helplessness psychologists talk about, where you just feel powerless against everything happening. That drains you.
Leads to giving up.
But absurdism gives you back your agency, your power. You can't control the universe, sure. That's the absurd part.
But you can control your response.
Bingo. You can choose to push the boulder. You can choose to find some satisfaction in the walk back down. Find your joy in the defiance of just showing up day after day.
So let's kind of wrap our arms around this. Absurdism. It's not for the faint of heart, maybe. It asks a lot.
It does. It asks you to look the void right in the eye, not flinch.
Reject the easy, prepackaged answers.
And then, with all you got, create your own meaning. Right here, right now.
Sisyphus. He's all of us, in a way. Stuck in our loops, pushing our own rocks. Aware it might seem pointless sometimes.
But capable. Always capable of rebellion just by choosing to live, choosing to engage.
Yeah. It ain't about winning some cosmic prize. It's just about showing up for the living of it.
Like Camus put it so well, the struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart.
Wow. That's powerful stuff.
It is. And it's not just fancy words, folks. That's a call to arms, really. A call to truly live right here, right now.
Well, now, if this deep dive got your gears turning, or maybe put a little spring in your step for facing whatever boulder life's rolling your way next, then we'd be mighty tickled if y'all had hit that like button. Maybe leave us a comment down below. What do you think about all this? And hey, subscribe. That way you won't miss a single one of these deep dives into life's big mysteries. And here's something to chew on. If the universe doesn't have some big plan for us, if we're truly free to make our own meaning, just imagine the community we could build right here in our hollows and hills if every single one of us chose to show up with that kind of defiant joy. What might that look like on a Friday night in Livingston or a Sunday morning out in Alpine?
And as we part ways today, just know that you, dear listener, you're part of something special. A community reaching for understanding, looking for strength in this mixed-up world. May you find some peace in the quiet moments ahead. May you find courage for your daily tasks, whatever they may be. And may you find a deep-down joy in every single step you take. God bless you, and may His grace light your path.